everyone, this is FantasyEsque and welcome back to the Sims 4 Vampire Amazon Royal Saga with the Salazar Coven. Guys, I have reached a bit of a decision. So, I will admit that this generation has been the most fun for me to play out of all the generations that we have had. And I don't know what it is. But despite this, I, low-key, am hating everyone in this generation. And I kind of want to raise all the characters to the ground, which I won't, because I know that, we all have our favorites, and in various ways we do love these ladies, but I am teetering on the edge of absolutely destructive behavior. So, I have decided that I am just going to do the birthday episodes and wrap up this season right over here. So, don't worry, this is not the last episode, but we have essentially, including this one, 4 episodes that I am going to do before this generation wraps up. So, today we have Diana's Immortal birthday. The next episode is going to be Bloom's Immortal birthday. The episode after is going to be Ice's Immortal birthday. And then the episode after that is going to be Challenging the Queen. So I am just going to stick to those events. And then I'm going to try and pack as much story as possible within those episodes, because we spend 40 minutes with each other and I feel like that should be enough to get whatever character development we need done for our various ladies and kind of wrap up the loose ends that we have going on. So let's quickly go through what happened in the mini-movie. So at the end of the previous episode, actually, we saw that Kyra had walked in on Eve begging the queen to divorce Cataleya so that she could marry her in secret, and then following that, obviously Cataleya would have called Guinevere and they would have demanded an explanation from the queen and offered to help her. And in the mini-movie we kind of saw that discussion between them before this event happened. We saw Guinevere and Kyra essentially telling the queen that it cannot be allowed to go on. Cataleya and Eve, what they're doing is wrong. It is going to be an embarrassment for the royal family. It is going to destroy everyone's reputation. This is not the way you hand off the queendom to the next generation. It's just going to, sabotage everything they have built so far and fought for. We don't want that. And so the queen said, well, what do you propose? And Kyra suggested, and I'm proud of her for this, because this is the first kind of input she's giving as a council member, and this is her second time serving on the council. The first time didn't really amount to anything much, but she suggested that maybe they send Eve into seclusion so that she can reflect on her actions until they're ready to, challenge the queen for the throne. And the queen liked that idea quite a bit. And then the queen brought up another point. She said, and how do you, propose we punish Cataleya? What about her? Because I can't publicly punish her if we are to keep this whole thing under wraps and a secret among us. So she asked Guinevere for her opinion. And Guinevere has given her opinion, which we did not get to see in the mini-movie. Essentially, what Guinevere ended up telling the queen, and this was a bit of a severe decision, but Guinevere feels as though Eve, yes, Eve has crossed boundaries, but really Cataleya is the one who allowed this to happen, right? She's the one who has a maternal position within this relationship. She's the one that has a higher relationship because she's married to the queen. She's a royal wife. She should have been the more responsible one and kind of cut this incestuous affair at its roots. But also, as she is not related to the royal family by blood, she is the one who is most kind of liable, right, in this circumstance. So Guinevere feels as though they can't let this go by. They can't let this be a thing that Cataleya gets away with she has to be punished by death. She has to. But like the queen said, they can't exactly do a public execution without telling people the reason she's being executed. So Guinevere, in her extremity, has told the queen that they have no choice but to orchestrate Cataleya's murder. They will have to murder her in secret so that everyone else just thinks it's an accident that has happened, and the court is not required to give an explanation for her death. So that's what Guinevere has proposed, and the queen hasn't exactly argued the point, but I definitely feel like she is very reluctant to do something that extreme, but at the same time, she knows that there is no escaping it. Like, she is going to look like an absolute idiot at this point if she doesn't go through with it. So, yeah, there's stuff going on there. And then the next scene in the mini-movie was obviously everyone in the banquet hall. The queen was saying happy birthday to Diana and telling everyone that, after years of toil, she's finally ready to, attain immortality. And they've all acknowledged and I'm sure been aware of her hard work. And then Kyra, which was very sweet, she said, yes, we are very proud of you, Diana. We sisters look forward to having you among us. And obviously Diana was very, very pleased. She thanked everyone, but I think she would have been especially excited that her favorite sister, her idol, Kyra, is the one who said those special words to her during the birthday banquet. So, guys, we are going to have Diana age up into an immortal. We're going to do her makeover, which I'm excited for. And then we need to get our story going. Actually, I'll probably also have to talk about the Insta posts. So I'll try and make that really quick and brief. But we need to get this going. We need to get it going. Crunch time, everyone. We got stuff to do. So, Diana, let's come on here. Let's go and make a wish. Come on, honey. Let's go make a wish. And, Cataleya is sitting here right now. I feel like Cataleya, at this point, obviously, is not aware that anyone other than Eden knows about this. Because remember, she wasn't there during that whole thing. So, Cataleya thinks that Eden is the only one who knows about her and Eve. But Eve is the one who had Kyra walk in on her and Eden's conversation. So Eve is aware of the fact that Kyra and Guinevere and probably Delphi know about what is going on, but she hasn't told Cataleya, she hasn't told Cataleya that their kind of heads are on the line, because when she decided that she's gonna take Cataleya away from Eden and she wants to get engaged to Cataleya, she didn't exactly discuss that with her. So Cataleya has no clue that all of this has happened since she and Eve had that falling out. She has no clue. Right now, she's scrambling and she, wants to become friends with Eve. She's trying to figure out how to repair her relationship with Eve. Because at this point, she's unclear which is a safer bet. Is it Eden? Is it Eve? She doesn't know. So she's far behind all of these people. There's the plot's moving ahead, but she's not part of that process at this point. So the queen, she thought, since there is a birthday banquet going on and everyone's attention is going to be on the event, she does not want to take any action right now. She told the council members to wait until after the birthday. And Cataleya, she's feeling pretty happy because she's thinking, hey, this keeps me safe for a bit because we've got stuff going on, and that means that the queen is not idle enough to punish her and actually think about her and make decisions regarding her. So things are gonna change pretty soon though, honey. Things are gonna change pretty soon. But with Kyra's suggestion, essentially what she was saying is that Eve be excused from the castle to live in isolation and kind of in lockdown and reflect on her actions until they're ready to challenge the queen. Then they'll bring her back and reunite her with the coven. But until that point, she needs to be isolated, and that's kind of like her punishment, right? Not being part of the court until that point, like for the remainder of this generation or the queen's reign, is what she's saying. So it's kind of a big thing. They're excluding Eve. They're outcasting her until the end of Eden's reign, which I don't feel like Eve would be happy with if she found out about this. So many things going on, plenty of things going on, but that's kind of where we're at. But to everyone else, they would kind of say that Eve has gone into like private training and preparation to challenge the queen. So, she's gone ahead and she's decided that she's gonna take some time on her own. That's what everyone's gonna tell like the people, so that's gonna be the official story. But actually she's being sent against her will into isolation. But okay, Diana, let's blow out the candles, honey. Let's blow out the candles. I'm very excited to see you as an immortal. Are we going ahead with it? Are we going ahead with it, honey? Diana? Diana, we can't wait. We've got stuff to do, Diana. Okay, there we go. I was like, hold on a second, Diana. Well, why are you taking so long? Diana's thinking. She's listening. Diana's like so engrossed in this whole story that I'm telling right now. She's listening. Her ears are perked. But, oh, look at that. Everyone's celebrating all around. This is so nice. This is so nice. Okay. Are we ready? Are we ready to do our spinny spin? There we go. There we go. Wonderful. Okay, guys. Diana's an immortal. And this time around, I don't think the trade thing popped up, so I'll do that all in CAS. But her features have like sharpened up a bit more. Look at that. She's got sharp teeth. My goodness. She's got like the razor teeth. Oh. Okay. Well, I'm excited to see what she's gonna look like once I do the makeover, and then we can like continue. Actually, we'll do the makeover. We'll come back. I'll go through the Insta post real quickly, and then we'll continue with the story. So I'll see you guys in a second. I have completed the makeover for Princess Diana Salazar. Here she is, guys, in her surprisingly gothic style, which is very different to what she had as a teen. But as we talk a little bit more about her personality, I think it does make sense for her. So with her hair, I'm happy to say she has rediscovered a bit more of herself. She no longer has braids because she is no longer copying Kyra as extremely as she was in her teenhood. So she has grown a little bit more into herself. However, she does have a purple and black color scheme. So if you guys remember, in Kyra's outfits as an immortal right now, she's got, I think, the purple and turquoise. And so even though Diana is trying to become more of her own person, she cannot at this point untangle herself from her obsession with Kyra, and so without realizing, she is still in some places like replicating her older sister. But then she's got black instead of, the full replication. She doesn't have the turquoise as well. She's got black because I feel like Diana's personality has taken a bit of a dark twist. So I figured this really suited her. But let's take a closer look at her face. She's actually very beautiful. Look at her. She's really lovely, especially her eyes. Like, eye makeup just looks so good on her. I don't know what it is. She's got kind of long, like elongated eyes, but and they're kind of like almond shaped, but they look so pretty. And I did realize this when she was younger. I think her eyes are probably her prettiest feature, in my opinion. But there we go. That is her. And in terms of her personality, guys, Diana over here randomized the trait paranoid. So she already has the she's got art lover. Hold on a second. What's her other trait? What's the other trait that she has? Self-assured. Okay, so she had self-assured as a child, and then she got art lover as a teen, which we said, was her love for the family history and, primarily stuff to do with Kyra. And now she has gotten the paranoid trait, which I think is to do with Kyra. So guys, I feel as though in her obsession with Kyra and trying to be as good as Kyra, Diana has developed a bit of a complex relationship with her sister. So on one hand, she reveres her sister, sees Kyra as her idol, and she, is constantly trying to be as perfect as Kyra, and she's in this constant race that she can't seem to win. But also on the flip side, I feel like this obsession has developed into a bit of a fear as well. So she is awed by Kyra, but she is fearful of Kyra and her capability as well. And part of the reason why she, at this point, is so obsessed with keeping up with Kyra is that she feels the moment she stops and the moment she falls behind is when Kyra will destroy or kill her. So she's got kind of this, I love you but I'm afraid of you type relationship with Kyra. She's kind of put Kyra in such a pedestal that Kyra's become a goddess and a monster to her. So yeah, it's warped, and I feel so sad actually. I feel so sad, especially when I think back to how she was as a child. She was so bright and she had potential, and she was innocent. She was innocent of all of the struggles and the arguments and the stuff between the court. And remember, guys, we were saying how she would, maybe end up being the bridge between the visitants and the non-visitants. Yeah, that didn't end up happening because she completely disowned her visitant side. And then she went on to be, become obsessed with Kyra, and now she's, fearful of Kyra. So, yeah, that's why she's kind of got a lot of blacks in her outfit as well. I feel like it reflects her mental space, which is very dark. But, there we go. That is our lovely Diana. Hold on a second, and let's quickly check out her dark form. Hold on a second. Let's see her dark form. Come on, Diana. Show us your dark form, honey. Come on. Let's cooperate. So she has the red accents in her dark form, and then, the ashen skin, the brown hair. But she looks lovely. Hold on a second. Look at her. She gives me priestess vibes. I don't know if that's what's in her future, but she gives me priestess vibes. Does she not? Does she not? She does have a... What is it? She's got a very small chin. I should say short chin. She's got a very short chin. It's very close to her mouth. But it makes it unique. So there we go. That is our lovely Diana. And I really like the hair that she has on right now as well. It's kind of out of her face. And actually, if we look at the others, yeah, she's kind of come into her own a little bit. But I feel like it is at a great cost. It's kind of one of the parts of her that she's managed to take back from Kyra. Kyra's been innocent. I mean, Kyra can't help it, right? This is something that Diana's developed on her own. But inescapable. I feel sad for her, but that is where she's at, guys. That is where she's at. I'm gonna turn autonomy back on. Let these guys kind of do their own thing. And we are going to quickly go through the Insta posts. So I will link all three of them in the description below, as well as have a link to the free Patreon post that screenshots all of them. So if you guys don't have Insta, you can check it out there. Let's start off with Lady Elaine. So the first post was between Lady Elaine and Cataleya, who is still like in her dark form from when she drank out of Delphi. So Elaine was essentially just like taunting Cataleya and saying that you must be burning because I am like way ahead of you. I arranged my son's marriage with Juno, so now you can't marry off your darn demons to her. You must be like so upset over this. And Cataleya was kind of like, no, I have more important things to worry about, which obviously Elaine doesn't know of. But Elaine was kind of like, well, you don't understand the gravity of the situation, but I can't be bothered to explain it to you. It's your loss. That's fine. I'm happy. So that was the first post. The second post was checking in with Lady Lexi, the priestess, and she was chatting with Eve. So Eve was looking noticeably down, and so Lexi, being the nice, approachable priestess she is, went up to Eve and said, are you okay? You seem to be like back at the venue where the engagement happened. You were infuriated, very angry at Cataleya. Like, did the royal wife do something to upset you? And Eve was saying like, it's complicated, but it's between us. Maybe I didn't react the right way, or it wasn't the place or the time for me to act out. I should have waited until we were in a more private setting to have it dealt with. And then Lexi was kind of like, oh, well, in that case, I won't ask for any details, but you should go to the goddess temple and meditate for some peace and clarity. So, she was just trying to help out the way she knew how, but she did notice that Eve seemed quite upset. And the last post was checking in with Lady Delphi, and Delphi was spending some time with her oldest brother, Lord Xander Covenrose, and she and Xander were talking about how old he's become, how long Queen Eden's reign has gone on for, and also a little bit about their mother, which I feel like has been like a bit of a taboo subject. Nobody talks about their mother anymore. And they were kind of on their own, so they were reflecting on, how she was, and Xander was saying that, it was a very difficult time for her because she kept having son after son. And then Delphi was just saying, do you think she'd be proud of me and what I've become now, considering all she did to have me and give birth to me? So that was kind of like a cute moment between them, and I have this nagging feeling that Xander's gonna die soon, because she had like a want to chat with Xander, which is why I made that post. So all of the posts that I make are in some way connected to the wants the Sims have, and I just incorporated it into the story somehow. So she wanted to actually talk with Xander, and previously, I think it was with Azura's father, who was Lord Ethel Tilke, the Visitant Warlock. He aged up into an elder, and after a while, Azura had the want to talk to him, but I kind of ignored it because I was like, oh, well, it's not that important to the story, so I won't do it. And then not long after that, he ended up dying, and I felt really bad about it. So this time, when Xander turned into an elder, I think this was a couple episodes ago, and then Delphi rolled a want to talk to him, I got really nervous, and I was like, does this mean he's going to die soon? Is that why Delphi's like remembering her brother? Because she never really wants to talk to him. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make it happen. I'm gonna have a moment between the two of them. So yeah, I ended up doing that. But that is essentially what happened in the Insta posts. And now, guys, we can move on along in the story. So, what's going to happen next? Okay, guys, we have a situation going on here. What the heck is happening / has happened? So, when Guinevere and Kyra excused themselves with Queen Eden to talk to her in private, Eve snuck out and followed them to listen in on their conversation. So she actually heard their entire discussion about what was going to happen with her and what was going to happen with Cataleya. And at this point, she's kind of had like a change of heart about certain things, because obviously there's nothing more important than Eve herself, right? So Eve is completely and utterly unwilling to be like sent away into seclusion, away from the court, away from royal life, and she feels as though, what's the point of her coming back to challenge the queen alongside her sisters if she loses all of her followers and influence along the way? I mean, who knows how many years are going to pass while she's in seclusion, and what her sisters are going to be doing in that time. She might seriously like fall behind them. Even Bloom and Ice might, become more influential than her, and that is completely not okay with Eve. So what Eve did, she has essentially manipulated Cataleya into meeting her outside of the castle, in a place where maybe the other vampiresses wouldn't suspect her to be, right? The visitants are quite familiar with where we are at, but the vampiresses, I feel like this kind of would have faded from the memory, because the last time they spoke of this place or they interacted with it in any capacity was like such a long, long time ago. But Eve, she reached out to Bloom and Ice's fathers, so, Captains Trista and Sherlo. They obviously were in service to Eve's father, so they feel a certain attachment and responsibility to Eve, and essentially, they're willing to lay down their lives to protect her, because as far as they're concerned, she is their successor, right? She's the visitant successor on Salazar lands, so they do not want to gamble with her life at all. And I mean, they're living with the other visitant lords quite happily, where Queen Aphrodite set them up in the House of Lords, because they think that this is the way to ensure a safe and happy life for their prince's only living child. But now Eve has approached them and said that is no longer the case. She is in danger, and there is something she must do to make sure that she is no longer in danger. So Eve, she knows that Cataleya has been feeling very insecure right now, and Cataleya is just confused in her actions. She's like jumping between Eve and Eden because she doesn't know who the safe bet is, and she's trying to still like maintain a relationship with Eden, which is not going too well. And now she's starting to think maybe Eve is going to be my way out. Obviously she doesn't know the discussion that Eden's been having, and so when Eve said to her, "Run away with me, let's get married in secret, like, do you want to marry me?" Cataleya, in her excitement, she said yes, and she left, right? As soon as it was possible, she snuck out, and she met up with Eve where Eve specified. And the place they're at is actually the visitant shipwreck guides that Prince Voldemort Karamazov and his small group of soldiers washed up on the Salazar Empire in. So when Cataleya came here, suddenly she was like surrounded by the two captains who are strong in their own right. They're one of the two powerful visitants who came with the prince. So at this point, Eve, I'm not sure if we can do it in the capacity that I'm trying to. She is... your romance is, like, really bad, honey. Your romance is really, really bad. Okay. Can you interact with it, actually? While she's mesmerized? I'm curious about this. This is an experiment. I haven't, like, tested it out entirely. But look at Cataleya. As soon as Cataleya's come here, she's actually been, put under a sort of spell. Like, Eve obviously has access to certain visitant powers that she wouldn't have learnt about in the Salazar Empire because they don't really practice it much. But the captains, they are quite trained in warfare. They would have helped her to figure out how to use these powers. And so they would have taught her certain things that, you know, they know the prince was capable of. And so Eve has used one of those powers to mesmerize Cataleya. But okay, I think we need her to dispel. So let's go ahead and dispel mesmerize. But even if we dispel it, Cataleya is kind of at this point still under her influence. So Cataleya no longer is fully aware of like what she's doing and the situation she's in. The last thing she felt was fear, and then it's like blackout. She doesn't understand what's going on. Okay, can we perhaps try and rekindle some things? Let's see how they go. Let's see how they go. Let's see to what extent we can rekindle this. And this is all kind of, you know, from Eve's side, of course. This is all from Eve's side. And she's doing this with something important in mind. So she's kind of, I think, disarming Cataleya. I mean, there's moments where Cataleya kind of like slips out of this like strange feeling she's having, and she realizes like where she's at, and she gets really worried and concerned and freaks out a little bit, but then she's under Eve's spell like once more. And Eve is constantly like adding one romantic interaction after another to keep her disarmed, to make sure that she doesn't find that awareness, that she doesn't start questioning things. So that's exactly what's happening over here. So let's continue with these two. Let's continue. I don't know who I feel bad for at this point. I really don't know. And everyone is like still making a fuss about Diana, right? So people aren't really paying attention to like where Eve is and where Cataleya is. They're not paying attention to this because they're all still giving a whole bunch of attention to Diana and the fact that Diana is not immortal, and it's like, you know, still her birthday's like ongoing right now. And obviously it would be rude, and like the queen said, she kind of wants to deal with this after the event. And Eve, she's not taking chances. She has like taken Cataleya, or baited her into essentially running away with her. Without telling anyone, mind you. Without telling anyone to this place. So, okay, let's continue. Things are going reasonably well. And mind you, this is... Okay, we need to get inside, actually. This is what she has promised, you know, Cataleya. She told Cataleya, let's run away and marry. And that's the whole reason Cataleya is even here, guys. Okay, let's go on in. We'll get the captains to head on in as well. And I don't know to what extent Cataleya realizes this. Obviously, right now, she's under influence and she's under the mesmerizing, so she's not entirely aware, but like glimpses come through from time to time. But these captains, they're here to make sure she does not run away. They're here to make sure that she does not escape. And I don't even know if she realizes that she is a prisoner at this point. She is like Eve's prisoner. She doesn't even know it. This is why you don't get involved with psychos like Princess Eve. Where you going, Eve? Where are you going? Don't sit down. Don't sit down, Eve. I feel like she's playing a game at this point. You know, cat and mouse. She's playing a bit of a game. And Cataleya is probably so desperate as well. That, I mean, the whole reason she came here, she was so desperate. She was willing to, like, take a chance on Eve. And she didn't think through the rationality of this. She didn't think through whether Eve was in a position to be doing something like this, whether it was possible for Eve to suggest something like this. I feel like Cataleya has really, like, overestimated herself, and now it is backfiring. This is essentially Cataleya's downfall, everyone. Okay, and now she's gonna propose to Cataleya exactly as she wanted and she promised her. So Eve is proposing to Cataleya. And there we go. Cataleya is saying yes. And I can't even be happy for them. I can't even be happy for them. Because it's not a happy event. It is really not. Okay, so they are now engaged to each other. So remember, that is what Eve promised her. And now, you know, under that influence slash spell slash enchantment that she's got Cataleya in, she is bringing Cataleya down here. Along with her captains, of course. Along with her captains. So let's head on down. Let's head on down. And Cataleya is like not seeing, she can't see the danger in any of this. They're coming down here. And essentially what Eve is influencing Cataleya to do, she is going to put Cataleya into a sort of hibernation. So Cataleya doesn't even realize that, you know, she's doing this. She doesn't realize that she is marching into this coffin. Because it's kind of like Eve's mind controlling her at this point. And she is being put into a deep sleep that she cannot wake up from. She can't wake herself up from this. It's an eternal sleep. So, Princess Eve has kidnapped Cataleya, guys. And she is holding her body in essentially what is a secret location that nobody knows about or is going to think of. Like, nobody has even come to this lot since, you know, the Lost Generation during the Visitant War, and that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago. So nobody, and everyone kind of like moved on from this place. I mean, down here, this was the dungeon slash prison area that the Visitants built beneath their shipwreck, right? But that's not something, I suppose it would be a part of the ship, wouldn't it? It'd be a part of the ship, like under, you know, the ship. They would still have this kind of prison area. But yeah, or did they build it? I think they would have built it at some point. I think that was built. So they built it underneath the shipwreck. This is where they kept some of the Salazar warriors. Was it, whose fathers was it? I think it was Griffin and Sage's father, and then it was also Prince Daryl's father. So Bryce and Jackie, they were actually prisoners in here for a bit before they were exchanged for. But she's completed this, and the reason Eve has gone ahead and done this to Cataleya, she needs a bargaining chip. She needs a bargaining chip so that she is not sent off to seclusion. And she knows, regardless of what Guinevere and Kyra say, her mother is obsessed with Cataleya, and her mother is kind of like crazy addicted to Cataleya, right? And very possessive of her. And her mother is going to be very hesitant to do anything if it's like risking Cataleya. You know what I mean? If someone is going to destroy Cataleya, then it has to be Eden. But Eden can't let someone else destroy Cataleya. She's like that crazy in love with her. She can't let it happen. So Eve knows this, and now Eve has like forcibly taken Cataleya, so she has a bargaining chip against her mother, and she can threaten her mother by saying, well, if you send me away, you'll never find Cataleya's body. You know, and Eden's probably going to be freaking out. At this point, she would be freaking out, wondering like, where is she, what's happened? But okay, with this kind of said, I think Eve is going to thank her captains, and she is going to let them know that she is safe at this point, or she will be. She'll ensure this makes her safe, and she is going to tell the two of them to return to the House of Lords, because if they are missing, then the Salazars will start putting two and two together, and they'll try and track them down. So they should probably get attention away from this place and return to their rightful places. or their positions, and then, she'll go back to the castle and deal with her mother. So that's essentially what's happening now, guys. Well, where are we now? So, Princess Eve, after wrapping up her business overnight, has, on her way back to the castle, been intercepted by the Queen, Guinevere, and Kyra. So, after a certain point, the Queen, along with, her counselors, noticed that they couldn't see Cataleya anywhere, and then they couldn't see Eve anywhere, and they assumed they were in some other part of the castle, sneaking off and getting some alone time again, and they thought it's okay at first, leave them, this gives us time to plan, but then a few hours went by, and then the whole night went by, and they didn't see them, and they got really worried. They did a sweep, and they realized they weren't on the property anymore. And obviously, they can't mobilize the entire coven to track them down, because then it kind of reveals what the heck's been going on. So, the three of them, on their own, decided to leave the castle and find Princess Eve, and they managed to find her while she was, making her way back. So they've kind of surrounded her, and they are questioning her, asking her, where is Cataleya? Where did they go? And Cataleya, she's got a very smug, not Cataleya, Eve has got a very smug look on her face. You can see Guinevere looks suspicious. Princess Kyra is kind of relieved that she's at least found her sister. The Queen is quite upset because she can't see Cataleya, and she's wondering, where is she? And, looking at Eve, there's a certain look on her face, and the Queen's immediately thinking the worst, and, the words that come out of her mouth, they're kind of like, what did you do with her? What did you do with Cataleya? Where is she? And she's really urgent. She's urgently asking Eve, and look how smug Eve looks. Eve is so smug right now. She's so pleased with herself. Oh my goodness. I hate her and I love her. She's so pleased with herself right now. She's telling her mother that she knows of their plans. She knows they want to send her off into seclusion. But unless her mother wants Cataleya to die at Eve's hand, she can't do anything to her. She can't send Eve away. She can't touch her unless she wants, along the way, for Cataleya to die as well. And I think worse than having Cataleya killed in her own castle is not knowing what's happening with her for the Queen. Like, she doesn't know where Cataleya is. She doesn't know what condition she's in. She doesn't know what's going to happen to her. That is so much more worse than having Cataleya die by her own hand. Because then at least she would get closure and she would know what happened, right? Because right now Cataleya is missing. The Queen has no clue and she's crazy anxious. So Guinevere at this point, I think, is going to suggest to the Queen and to Kyra, let me deal with her. Let me interrogate the princess if need be. We'll force it out of her. We'll track down. Or even, we'll track down. Because Eve is just going from, one thing to another. She's saying, we'll track down Cataleya. We'll find her. Let us find Cataleya somehow. Right? I'll mobilize the troops. We'll find Cataleya. But the Queen, she's going to stop the other two. And Kyra, obviously, she doesn't like what's happening, but she doesn't want to condemn her sister because it's her sister, but at the same time, her sister's kind of acting traitorous and going against their mother, so that's not really good. So she's kind of just standing there waiting for the decision of everyone else. And I feel like Kyra's not confrontational. It's kind of hard for her to say these things when Eve is staring at her face. But essentially, the Queen is going to stop Kyra and Guinevere, and she's going to say, no, we can't do anything to Eve. We can't touch her. Because if we touch her, then something's going to happen to Cataleya. I can't risk that. I cannot risk that. Right? She's refusing to do anything to Eve at this point. And partially the reason is, guys, even though Eden is desperate to have Cataleya back, she does not want to find Cataleya either. Because Eden knows that if Cataleya is found, Cataleya has to die by her hand in the castle. Because remember, Guinevere was saying they have to orchestrate her murder to punish her for, the crime that she committed. So this has kind of given Eden, even though it's making her miserable, it's given her an excuse to have Cataleya live. So she's, using the excuse that, you know, Eve will do something to her if we make a move on Eve. But really, she's kind of glad that Eve has gone ahead and done this out of nowhere, because somehow she has managed to, you know, preserve Cataleya's life in whatever state that is. And, you know, a part of her is also, she's kind of begging and she's asking, like, when are you going to give Cataleya? What do we have to do to get Cataleya back? And, you know, she's desperate to find out, but at the same time, she doesn't want Eve to give in. So she's asking Eve these questions, and Eve is saying, you won't, like, I can't give Cataleya back to you. I can't. Not until the challenge for the throne. Because if I give Cataleya back, then I'll have nothing to bargain with. You'll send me off into seclusion, and we can't exactly have that now, can we? So forget about Cataleya. Just know that she is alive, and her body is with me. And you'll never get her body back if you do something to me. Right? She'll end up dead. You'll get nothing but ashes. You'll never get to see her one last time. Whereas, leave me be, and then after challenging for the throne, then I will, once, you know, I've been able to participate in the fight for the throne, and I feel as though it is safe, I will return Cataleya's body to you on my own. So that is the ultimatum. That's kind of what she said to the queen, and the queen's deciding, we can't do anything to her, we can't touch her, we can't send her away into a seclusion, we won't discuss this, you don't find Cataleya, I don't want to put her life at risk. That's kind of what the queen's saying. So that's what the four of them have decided. But Eve is at this point, she's feeling a bit cocky, I think. And she's telling the queen, well, now that royal mother, royal wife Cataleya isn't exactly at the coven anymore, you're going to have to make an excuse for the rest of the court members. And so she's suggesting to the queen that she tell them Cataleya has gone to the demon faction to, like, foster the alliance between the two kingdoms a little bit more. So the queen, you know, has sent Cataleya to the demon faction to foster that relationship, especially so soon after Kyra and the demon prince's marriage. So that's the story that the queen has to go back and tell the rest of the court. That it was organized by the queen, but obviously Kyra and Guinevere and Eve, they know the truth of what's happened. Ay. Okay, guys, with that said and done, I am going to leave off. When we come back next time, it will be during Bloom's birthday, so that will be a week from now. But also, guys, just a quick update on the youngsters in the background. Bloom is now a Grandmaster. Actually, before we go off, I'm not going off just yet, because I just remembered Guinevere has to, she has to complete Diana's training by challenging her. So you know what, I will squeeze that into this episode before we go. I will do it. But Bloom, she is a Grandmaster now, and Ice is a Prime Vampire. So actually, let me take these ladies back to the castle, and then we need to get Diana to complete her training with Guinevere, and then I can wrap up. Jeez, okay, I remembered. Right, I've got Princess Diana and Guinevere ready at the training grounds. Ice is here watching. Well, she was in the middle of training, but I suppose she's going to be watching this sparring, the battle go down. But Diana, she is going to have a vampiric spar with Guinevere, and hopefully succeed. Now I don't remember what episode it was. I'm sorry, I don't. It might be the episode where Eve fought with Guinevere. One of you lovelies actually put down a count for me of how many times the princesses battled it out with Guinevere before they succeeded. I think, was it Ronald who wrote it down? I'm sorry if I'm remembering the wrong person. I have a feeling it was Ronald. He was saying that Kyra, and my numbers might be off, that Kyra fought Guinevere twice before she won, Juno fought Guinevere once, and Eve fought Guinevere twice. So currently, Juno is the strongest competitor for the throne. And let's see how Diana does. I'm very curious to see how Diana does. Okay, honey. Do we want to get a move on? Shall we get a move on, Diana? Perhaps. Hold on a second. I'm gonna reset them and try again. The silly gooselings. Okay, come on. We need to go and activities. Let's spa. Yes? Okay, there we go. Now we've got it under control. Okay, let's see. How is she going to do? She's been very obsessed in training with, well, ice as well, but you know, trying to catch up with Kyra, keep up with Kyra. Will it pay off? Let's see. I feel like the outcome is also going to affect her mentality, potentially grow her insecurity. Oh, she won! Guys, she's completed her training officially. Oh my goodness. It took her one battle. I mean, I feel like it was a solid fight between the two of them, but it took her one battle. Honey, you kind of did better than Kyra over there. I swear, at this point, any insecurity she has is of her own creation, because Kyra, I'm pretty sure it took her 2 battles. So she and Juno, Diana and Juno are the strongest competitors for the throne at this point, as it stands. Congratulations. Congratulations, honey. I feel like a bunch of you guys would be happy with that. But anyways, guys, I am going to wrap up here. Thank you so much for watching. I feel like Ice is going to be a little bit more pleased. There's a few changes happening in that, you know, since Bloom is now a Grandmaster, she now does not have to be under Guinevere's tutelage, so Guinevere can officially train Ice with all her attention in the background. Like, we haven't talked about this, but I feel like Juno would have actually had a conversation with Ice, and she would have talked Ice a little bit through certain matters about, you know, being the younger sibling and being the one who feels a little overlooked, and how they have to work just a little bit harder to keep up or get the same amount of attention as their older siblings. And I think that would have made Ice feel a lot better, and she probably feels a bit more rejuvenated, and the timing's really good because Bloom, like, has very quickly finished her training, so now Guinevere can focus on her. So whatever feelings she would have had, like, at the beginning in terms of frustration and stuff, it definitely didn't last that long. And I feel like, in contrast perhaps to, you know, Juno herself, she didn't have this kind of support, or even Diana. A lot of her sisters have clustered around Ice to help her deal with that. And as the youngest child, I think that this is going to help her. And I hope that she and Bloom maintain the positive outlook they have on life and don't become like Diana. That is a downward slope I do not want to see for any more of my princesses. But okay, guys, finally, I am going to wrap up. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said, when we come back in the next episode, it'll be during Bloom's birthday. Bye-bye.